So we talked about some different things that may be a concern or maybe opportunities for our town, whether it's Storybook or I-11. If you had to say, what's the one thing that worries you about the Boulder City market? What's the one thing that keeps you up that you think could be a threat to our market? Is there something that stands out to you?
The one thing, not necessarily to our market, but the one thing that does bother me in our town is the divisiveness, and that might just be in our nation right now, but in our town, I just feel that we should all be able to get along and be a little more civil. When somebody doesn't see eye to eye, you need to still be able to talk to them. I think a lot of people are reluctant to get involved in politics today for that reason. People take it too personally sometimes, and you're never going to have 100% of people agreeing on anything. It just won't happen. So, but to be able to accept that other people have other ideas is a necessity. I've never seen it quite like this, and I've been here almost 40 years. I've never seen it quite like it is today with the personal attacks, and I think social media has something to do with that, how people can fire off comments without any recourse, sitting at home on their computer. They don't have to even interact. They don't have to look at each other face to face to tell them this. And my gosh, I've seen some threads just blow up, and I read through this, and anyway, I just, that bothers me more than anything else. We have a great town here, and I like to see people passionate about it, and everybody wants to protect it, but different people have different ideas on how to protect it and how to keep it awesome. I'll be honest, and I tell people this anytime they come in my office, I've never found a place I'd rather live. Boulder City is very unique for so many reasons, and we all want to keep it that way, right? And of course, excuse me, of course everybody has a different idea about how to do that.
How to do it, yeah.
But the funny thing is, we all have the same goal. We want to protect this town that we love. So how to do that and get along with everybody is the challenge.
Right. And is there anything that you think, whether it's we as individuals could do, or even the city could do as leaders, city council, or the mayor, what are some things you could think we could do to better promote that civility?
Great question. I know Rod has reached out, our mayor has reached out a few times trying to promote that. But if you're a person that doesn't trust City Hall already, are you going to listen to somebody at City Hall reaching out with an olive branch? I don't know. I've read too many conspiracy ideas and things on the internet that just, when you read it, you're like, scratch your head and say, they really think that?
Yeah.
There's just a lot of that out there. I don't know. I don't know right now today. The whole social media really has I don't see that going away.
Right.
So I don't see how that'll change, and that's the biggest issue. But in my mind, but I honestly don't know what it'll take for maybe some common cause comes around someday that everybody truly can unite around one cause, and then maybe all of a sudden people can see that they have a lot in common.
Right. Yeah, more in common than we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, separate us for sure. So my last question for you is, there's the guy in town who says, I'll do anything to sell you a car. So what's your craziest story that you have to sell a home? Or what's your favorite, home selling story? I'm sure you have a lot over the years.
That is such a tough question. Man, there's some challenging stories. We never give up. That's one thing that I take pride in, is we will not give up until it is dead. So we've done a lot of different things to make a deal happen. But I'm not like John Barr. I don't say I'll do anything, but but we'll do a lot. I've had Mary Jo had reminded me recently. She's been with me the longest, as I mentioned. She reminded me recently of a couple of stories that I had almost forgotten about. One of them was coming down to the end of a transaction when two very wealthy people are ready to close on a deal, and some old ATV comes up and it's holding these two guys apart, and like, no, it was included in the deal, and the other, no, I can't sell that, and going back and forth. And at the end of the day, I bought the ATV and didn't tell anybody, and I gave it to the other guy, and that was the way to make that happen. But we took a Boss 429 Mustang title for a down payment on a commercial building in Boulder City. The car was worth, I want to say the guy, it was worth somewhere upwards of $250,000, this car.
Whoa,
And
that is a nice Mustang.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Rotisserie restoration and all that, and that was pretty interesting. So we held the title until he was able to sell the car, and that was his down payment. And then
So how nervous did that make you? How strong did you feel about that appraisal on that Mustang?
good question. I've been a Ford guy most of my life, so I felt better. It could have been worse. But that was very, very interesting time. Interesting. We were motivated to help him get that car sold. But one of my favorite stories, probably my favorite client, I shouldn't say that on TV, but one of my favorite clients is, she was an elderly lady, and she called in looking for a house. I think it was between $600,000 and $800,000, and she was very particular about what she wanted. And she came in, and we really didn't have anything for her, but right away I recognized that she was with another lady. She hadn't told me this, and I'm like, gosh, the connection was her daughter was with her, and years before I'd helped her daughter out buy a little condo, and it was like $50,000. She bought it for a person that worked for her that she felt sorry for because he had lost his wife. So she bought this condo for him, and he lived there for a while, and eventually he passed away, and she came back to me to help her sell it. And I did the best I could. Again, $50-something thousand condo. Years later, she shows up with her mom, who's looking at things in a whole different category. Ultimately, I showed her a house that matched what her criteria was, but I didn't tell her the price. And we got back, and she's like, she told me all the great things about the house and how much she thought that would be the one. Never talked about price. And then finally, we're ready to write an offer. She asked me how much, and it was roughly twice as much as she was thinking.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, she went ahead and bought it. And then she bought a condo for a lady that was her kind of caretaker, but she walked her dogs, basically. Bought a condo for cash for her.
Wow.
And then years later, I had the listing on that house that she bought too, that was $1.7 million or something. Years later, she comes and says, hey, I would like to build my dream home. This is a lady in her 80s. Want to build my dream home. I said, okay. She said, yeah, I want to buy a piece of land. And I said, oh, I can take you out sometime. Oh, no, I already found it. Okay. So it was the most expensive lot in Boulder City. Probably the most expensive in our history of selling.
Wow.
Yeah. And she bought it. And then shortly after, like during the process, she says, what about the one next door? I'll take it too. Bang, bought the lot next door. So she wanted an architect. I hooked her up with a guy, and she traveled to different parts of the country with the architect I introduced her to, Harry Ray. And they really, really enjoyed each other, enjoyed the process. She designed her dream home, but it was kind of out there. It was like nothing else in that neighborhood, and there was an HOA. So Harry did a great job with her, and long and short of it, she calls me shortly later and says, you know, this is a little more work, a little more hassle than I need right now at this stage of my life. Go ahead and sell those lots. So I'm like, Sarah, it took like 10 years to sell that lot the first time.
Yeah.
This is not going to be quick. And she said, don't worry about it. So these lots were about $1 million each,
Oh, wow.
times 2. So we put them up for sale. Unfortunately, the lady passed away during that process of selling, but just an awesome lady. I loved working with her. Just a neat person. Anytime you were around her, you felt good. And one of those special people that I'll always remember. But the fact is, it goes back to that $50,000 condo.
Yeah.
Generated the best client I've ever had. I don't know, in total numbers, $5 million worth of transactions or something.
Wow.
But the point is, taking good care of that lady that had the $50,000 condo brought all of the rest of that. So those are the kind of stories that you always remember and you tell your group when you get them together. We get together every week as an office and exchange stories, and I love that. And we got just a great core of people there. And Bob Crow is the most recent realtor that joined me. I think I hit everybody at the table. Anna's my property manager, she's also a realtor. But one of the things we did at our office meeting a couple years ago, we decided that we would contribute money from every closing into a fund that we would use for donations around town. So that's part of what I've been using for the emergency aid, lend a hand, and instead of just dribbling it out, now we're doing $1,000, $2,000 donations because we've all pooled our resources together. So every closing that we have in Boulder City, we put money in this fund. No matter where the closing is, we put money in that fund.
Oh, okay,
And
great.
generally, we've helped mostly Boulder City causes. We hit one in Las Vegas, but almost everything else here stays in our town, and Boulder City High School, middle school, elementary school, emergency aid, lend a hand. Those are awesome organizations. Lend a hand, emergency aid, I can't say enough about. We've helped so many different organizations along the way. That's really stuff that we enjoy, we take pride in, and every time somebody supports our business, we help keep the money here in our community. And I've just enjoyed the business so much, working with so many people over the years. I close somewhere around 150 transactions a year.
Oh, okay.
So we meet a fair amount of new people, but by this time in my career, most of the people are returning clients. Repeat, third generation now. You know, I helped your grandpa, and I know I sound like an old man now, but that's awesome when somebody comes in and says, yeah, my dad told me to come down and see you, you know, or they were this tall when I helped their parents buy a house, and now they're buying a house. Those are phenomenal things that I just love that. And so many homes around Boulder City now, I get a call or something, I've sold that house twice already, you know, or I knew the people that live there, and there's a couple of houses that I think I probably either 3 or 4 times. I think there's at least one on Sandra, my stepson owns now. I think I sold it 4 times.
Wow.
I'm sorry, that's on Esther, on the park down there. But that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's also fun. Once in a while I walk through a house and I go, I remember being in here in high school, you know, I think somebody had a party here or something, you know. And anyway, those are good times. And growing up here and going to Boulder City High School, being involved, my senior class, we put the B on the hill, that's now BC.
Oh, okay.
That was my platform when I was running for office in high school. Put the B back on B in Boulder City because it had been built over
Right.
right in your neighborhood. here.
Right.
So that house had just been built. Full cycle, I just sold that house that's over the B.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the kind of neat things in Boulder where you start talking about something, it all ties together somewhere. And anybody you meet, you talk to them for 5 or 10 minutes. If you don't know them, you never met them, you know somebody they know, or some connection somehow. And that is so neat about our town. Sometimes you feel like you know everybody, but no, somebody new comes in. However, you know one of their friends,
Right.
you know, something like that. But it's been a pleasure, and I
Yeah, well,
certainly
thank you so much. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed learning more about you and about a lot of insights on real estate in Boulder City.
And our town is something we, like I said, we all love, and we'd all like to do anything we can to help, and anytime I can be of assistance, give me a call.
All right. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathaniel.